Unemployment in the UK has surged to a near 5-year high, according to the Office of National Statistics. The national unemployment rate rose to 5.2% in the last 3 months of 2025. And it's young people who've been hardest hit. Over 16% of 16 to 24-year-olds don't have a job. That is the highest in over a decade. Well, that high number of young people out of work is skewing the overall joblessness rate. The rest of the workforce is actually on a lower unemployment rate. Well, let's talk now to Pushpin Singh, who is Managing Economist at the Centre for Economics and Business Research. Thank you very much for coming on the programme. So why is this rate so high at the moment?
Well, I think it just reflects the reality of the situation in the face of elevated labour costs. The budget announcements in 2024 with regard to higher national insurance contributions and the recent hikes in national living wage, not only in October 2024, but also the announcement in October 2025, have led to higher labour costs. Now, it's disproportionately affecting young people more, and simply because the first thing the firms would do would be to kind of get rid of more entry-level jobs as well. It doesn't really help the fact that those people who tend to be on the national living wage tend to be those young people working perhaps part-time in retail or hospitality. And overall, the impact on young people is the most adverse across all age groups. And the reality of the situation is that, delayed career starts have a huge impact, a huge lasting impact on progression and earnings.
So we're at this high unemployment rate, nearly the highest for 5 years. What could this end up meaning for the broader economy?
I mean, there's a big question. That's the big question all economists are trying to face, isn't it? I think more importantly, the big thing here is the fact that there's clear evidence that the labour market is softening in the face of higher labour costs over the last couple of years. What this could in turn mean is the fact that, we're starting to see changes in the extensive margin, which basically relates to the number of people who are being employed. And effectively, how that is working is we are expecting more productivity by those who are currently still employed by the intensive margin here. Now, AI has a role to play here in terms of improving productivity of those who are still employed. But the wider issue is the kind of productivity puzzle that the UK currently faces. If productivity doesn't improve, unemployment kind of remains elevated. That's lower tax revenues and the implications in public debt and in terms of GDP growth as well. So there are a lot of spillover impacts in terms of the fiscal coffers, the expenditure on benefits, and wider public expenditure and overall GDP growth more broadly.
So we saw this figure of 5.2% for the last quarter, up slightly on the 5.1% on the previous one. Does that look like a trend to you, or is it perhaps just a blip?
I don't necessarily think it's a blip. It's clear evidence that the labour market is softening. As I mentioned, we were first seeing in the face of rising labour costs, vacancies starting to come down massively post October 2024 announcement of employer NICs. Now that's stabilized because firms have realized that they can't simply just cut at the margins in terms of reducing, kind of hiring activity. They've got to cut within their own workforce now, which is why we're now starting to see the employment payroll employees drop and also a subsequent increase in the unemployment rate. We're expecting these conditions to last because, these elevated labour costs are clearly here to stay. So we don't necessarily think it's a blip, but it's going to be something whereby we're expecting the unemployment rate to remain elevated for some time.
Pushpin Singh, it was great to talk to you. Thank you so much for coming on the programme. That's Pushpin Singh from the Centre for Economics and Business Research.